Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to our live stream. We're actually here in person
Together.
which is fun. We usually are from our completely separate houses an hour apart when we do these lives. So I just happening to be here, and I was like, let's do a live. We haven't done one in a while. So hello, welcome everyone. And today we're going to be talking about something like the number one questions we get asked are like, are you still using blah 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 type of curriculum? We make these videos. I mean, a lot of these videos we've made 4 years ago at this point. So you may be wondering, are we still using that? And there are some in particular that we get asked about the most. So we are going to be covering those for you today. So if you don't know us already, we're Kids Learning for Life. I'm Jenny.
Stacey.
And we have this YouTube channel. We've been doing this since 2020. But also we do have a film unit study curriculum that we have created, which we love sharing with all of you. We've been to homeschool conventions and also been speakers at a homeschool convention. We can say that now.
Oh,
really? No, I mean, that's an impressive thing, right? I mean, and this is what we do. So we're live now talking about curriculum. So let's just dive right in.
Jump right in.
Okay.
Okay, so I think the number one thing lately that I feel like we've been getting a lot of comments on videos is all about Jenny and her The Good and the Beautiful journey. I'm just gonna let you take that over and answer these questions of what are you doing? Why did you switch? Because I know you haven't done a full video on The Good and the Beautiful yet, but
I know
you're liking it. I think.
Well, I know that around the time we kind of stopped making videos as much, that's when I started using Good and the Beautiful. So towards the end, I was like, this is a new thing I'm using and this is what I love right now. And then people are commenting are you still using it? Kind of maybe trying to gauge if they're interested in using it as well. Just for some context, I came from doing mostly Charlotte Mason. I was kind of piecemealing everything together. It wasn't very easy for me to do. So Good and the Beautiful came in clutch because it made it really easy to have everything all just open and go and easy to use. And I wouldn't say it's the most Charlotte Mason curriculum, but it's been working for us and it's gotten my kids, I guess, caught up, quote unquote. So I'm grateful for that. So, okay, the update about Good and the Beautiful. And also I want to say this really quick. If you guys have any questions or anything, just leave it in the chat. We are live. We can see anything you're asking right now. So we can kind of answer as we go. So if anything comes up, just let us know. So Good and the Beautiful. So yeah, we're kind of flying through it because like I said, that first year, I just needed to get my kids caught up with math because they were kind of behind. I need to do the quotes.
That's not a real thing, is it?
I don't know. I mean, it was clear that they were not enjoying math as much as they probably should. And they were just getting discouraged. So I forget what grade level I started them in. If you've watched any of those videos recently, you probably know better. But now my oldest daughter, she's technically in 5th grade. She's about to finish the 4th grade math book. And then my younger daughter, my second oldest, sorry, she's not my younger. She's one of my big girls. I have 4 daughters, by the way. My second oldest, she is in the 3rd grade level, and that's the grade she's in is 3rd grade. So what I've heard, actually interesting about Good and the Beautiful math is, in case you're wondering.
I'm on board for this story.
Well, okay, for some context, anyone here who doesn't know, we homeschool through a charter school here in California. So we homeschool, we're in charge of choosing our curriculum and all that. We teach how we want, but you do have to report to a teacher periodically. So I was talking to my homeschool teacher about what my kids are doing in their grade levels. And so even though my oldest is in the 4th grade book, she said that it's meeting 5th grade standards.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So that made me feel better about being behind. How many times am I going to do finger quotes in this? But so yeah, we're doing math. And that was kind of the number one thing I started using Good and the Beautiful for, because I just needed something really solid and open and go in math that my kids were not going to cry about every time we used it. And then I'm also using the Good and the Beautiful language arts for my 2 oldest girls, and they're both in their grade levels. So level 5, level 3, and they're really liking that. And then Stacey's been homeschooling 3 kids for years, but I just started homeschooling 3 kids because my 3rd oldest is now in kindergarten. So I started her in the Good and the Beautiful preschool, which is math and language arts. It's just numbers, colors, letters. And then she did kindergarten prep, which is kind of like a bridge between the preschool and the kindergarten, which I do highly recommend. That's something I do want to make a video about because I feel like some people probably skip it, but I do recommend it. Kindergarten prep with Good and the Beautiful. And then now she's actually in the full kindergarten curriculum. So it looks a lot like what my older girls do with a dedicated math book and a dedicated language arts book. So the lessons do take a little bit longer. They're not so open and go because it's multiple components we're using, but she loves it. She begs me to do it every single day. So I'm going to just try to keep cultivating her love of all of that. I don't really use a lot of other Good and the Beautiful products. I have a few of their science units. I just, quite frankly, I have a hard time fitting science into our everyday life, to be honest, which that's always been something
who's surprised if you've been here for a while?
Yeah, science, whatever. But I would say of all the science curriculums I have used, Good and the Beautiful Science is probably the one I have done the best with, because I have done it on and off. It's just I can't do it consistently. Anyway,
so what is it about the Good and the Beautiful that kind of got, I know you mentioned open and go, but what is like open and go about it? Why did you switch, and what were you using before?
So with math, I was using all sorts of different things. So yeah, I tried a little bit of everything. And language arts, I was using Lightning Literature, which that's something that she's going to talk about a little more. I was like using Ambleside Online for language arts, which I still am using for like literature, I guess. But like Good and the Beautiful is it's just so open and go. Like they don't have a dedicated teacher's guide and student workbook. Everything's all together. So the books are pretty thick. They like even for kindergarten.
They're also free online.
They are free. I think
you have to print them.
Yeah, you have to print them. I don't think kindergarten is. Well, I know preschool and kindergarten prep were not free.
Okay.
Because I tried to do that because they're so much smaller. I'm like, oh, I could get away with printing that. But yeah, I believe most of their like K through 6 levels for math and language arts are completely free on their website. You can download them for free. You can use them. Actually, for my kindergartner, there's a whole booster card component of it. It's like a phonics program that is incorporated with language arts. And that one, I just use it on the iPad. I downloaded that. So I didn't have to buy a whole other, it's like one booklet that you go through. I didn't have to buy that. It's just we use that on the iPad. So I just like that it's all one thing, super easy to use. I think it's, for being as cutesy as it is, it's actually robust. And I don't know, that's just why I ended up gravitating towards it and kind of keeping it. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to get into what Stacey has been using. So one thing that that I used to use that she ended up using is Lightning Literature. So I want to hear about your experience with Lightning Literature, why you switched to it, and how that's going for you.
Yeah, so Lightning Literature is a novel-based or literature-based curriculum. And it's for English language arts. It incorporates reading, it incorporates comprehension, it incorporates even grammar. And there is a writing component, although I do not use that writing component. I've switched to something else, which I can talk about in a second. But Lightning Literature, I really wanted my kiddos to read good books and then to kind of have activities and comprehension already built in. So that's what Lightning Literature is. It is a kind of a thick book. You did 1st and 2nd grade, right?
Yeah, I did super.
I started my 2 older boys. I have 3 boys, and they are. Last year we started them in the 4th grade. My 2 oldest, because I asked them, I'm like, do you guys want to be separate or read the same books? And they wanted to read the same books. So I did see in the Rainbow Resource Catalog that this curriculum is geared for advanced readers. So I was fine bringing my 5th grader down to 4th grade and leaving them the same. And
that is something about Lightning Literature, is that even when I was using it for grades 1 and 2, it's like, it's really, that's why I kind of stopped using it. I could probably use it now.
Yeah.
But like, it is pretty advanced for the grade level that's listed.
I do remember, when you were using it with your girls, I was like, oh my gosh, your girls are doing all that? Like,
no,
because my kids weren't doing that at that age. But yeah, so it's very open and go. And now I've gotten it to the point where it's pretty independent. Sometimes there are maybe like, it is a Monday through Thursday curriculum. They have Fridays more of an extra day. So I liked that. So it was a 4-day-a-week program. So it leaves Fridays a little more open, where that's where we do our science and history. So because I have the time to do it. And yeah, very independent for them. They can go and it tells them what chapters to read out of the book. It's already split up. And I have found that even the way that the chapters are split, it's not too much or anything for my kiddos. They are reading it. Some books they enjoy, some books they don't. And I'm actually surprised they're not getting discouraged if they're just, we started making a list for the year, like, oh, where was this, did you like this one? Did you like this one more? And they're like creating a list of which one was their favorite and which one was their least favorite. And that's kind of keeping them from like getting discouraged because, oh, I didn't like that book. Like last year, the book that everybody, including myself, because I've been reading all these with my boys, because I didn't read them when I went to public school, is Morning Girl, which it was like
a lightning lit.
Yeah,
a lightning lit one. What is that?
It's a story of a Native American girl. And she, like, at the very end, spoiler alert, it's a very short book, but at the very end, she's like wading in the water and like a parent, like it's supposed to be like Christopher Columbus, like sees her or that whole kind of like thing. And so then she goes back and, the story ends. But my kids, we didn't like it because it was more like, here's a random story, here's a random story, here's a random story. And they didn't even seem like they all connected very well. It was just like little insights, little peeks into the world. But anyway, yeah, so that's what we've been using. And for writing, I switched over to Writer's Workshop with Layers of Learning. And that has been a game changer for our family. I incorporate writing every day and getting them to go from literal tears when I asked them to write a sentence, okay? Like, it was crazy. And I did not, like, I have never had a good idea of how to do writing and teach it. But, I'm like, how do I take, even journaling, even getting them to journal was like a hassle. But this curriculum started with baby steps and just got them into it. And we just do a little bit every day. And that's kind of the key. And there's just a bunch of little activities. It's not as open and go. You have to really kind of figure out the system. But once you know the system, it does become more open and go once you get a handle on things. And yeah.
I need help with that because, first of all, I do have one child that never likes to write anything. She's now figured out how to read. She loves to read, won't put books down, but it's like the writing, that's a struggle. And to be honest, I don't really use a lot of like writing curriculum. Good and the Beautiful language arts, even though I use it kind of loosely. I think sometimes you can kind of like beat the fun out of something. And I would rather emphasize reading, and then they can, once they're maybe a little older, we can go over a little more structure. But anyway, all that to say, to supplement with language arts, for me, just something that I haven't even talked about on this channel at all, is I've actually been using some, what are they called? Moving Beyond the Page unit.
Oh, yes.
For literature.
Yeah, you did start that.
Yeah, because I had this one daughter who, before she like really figured out reading, she like wouldn't stick through a whole book. I would recommend, I've cultivated this like home library. It's like my passion. And I would give her all these books to read, like easy things that I knew she could read. And she just would lose interest and set it aside. So through using some units through Moving Beyond the Page, which I believe their name has actually changed now to Beyond the Page.
Oh,
so I should say Beyond the Page. She has finished 2 books that she never would have finished before. So, and I didn't even do all the activities. It was just simply, okay, today the curriculum says read 2 chapters of this, and then she would go do it.
Yeah, it sounds very similar to how Lightning Literature is set up. Mm-hmm. So if you're like thinking that you want some sort of literature-based curriculum, those would be 2, to kind of look into. And I mean, Moving Beyond the Page, they have a lot more. But
it's a whole unit study. It's a whole different thing. I just use the literature things. But yeah, there's like science, geography, like everything. They do a whole bunch of things. But yeah, it's just, you got to use what works and just kind of pinpoint those specific things. So now I'm going to work on writing with her. So maybe I'll have to look into what you're using.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, is there anything else? Are there any other specific curriculums that you are using that you have very strong feelings about right now, positive or negative?
Not a lot of negative, to be honest. I feel like I'm enjoying this time right now because, I mean, if you followed this channel for the past 4 years, is that what we're up to? I mean, I've switched a lot of things, gone back and forth, but I feel like from last year to this year, there's not a ton of change. If anything, I've taken things out because it just didn't work. And I needed to simplify and try to do less instead of go. And yeah, so I feel like this year, with my oldest being in 6th grade, I know middle school's coming and high school's right around the corner. So I'm just trying to like enjoy the time of few changes, because once high school hits, I know it's going to be a whole different ball game, and I'm going to be having to learn all these new things again. and figure out what curriculum to use. And but I'm really liking our science curriculum. It is called the Young Scientist series by Heron Books. And yeah, I just posted on our Instagram like a little picture. We did a whole electricity unit, and it went down to like how energy transfers and to atoms and molecules, and because electricity is electrons moving through wires. And I learned a thing or two, and then there were even a bunch of little experiments for the kids to be able to create their own circuits. So we've been really enjoying that, and I've just continued to go through each of their different units. So for science, I'm really liking that one.
Okay.
What about you? Anything else that you're just like, I'm using this?
I mean, I guess the other thing that I'm using that I'm diehard for, other than Good and the Beautiful, is Ambleside Online. And I talk about it all the time, so I feel like I'm a broken record. But if you don't know already, it's a free it's a free Charlotte Mason curriculum that's available in its entirety at amblesideonline.org. And so what's free about it is that it's a schedule and it's a book list. So you do have to buy the books, but a lot of them are in the free domain, so you can listen to the audiobooks for free on apps like Libby or Hoopla through your library, or you can even use something like LibriVox, R.I.P. Kara Schallenberg. we both use it for history.
Yes.
And so we have listened to Our Island Story and This Country of Ours on LibriVox. It's a free way to enjoy these books together as a family and learn. And the reader of these books on LibriVox, I just found out, and I told Stacey, she passed away like last year. So she's read the whole books. It's like we have the whole books, but it's like her voice will live on forever. And I'm weird. I like emailed her next of kin and said, this is like the impact she's had on multiple families that I know. So I don't know. It's just another way that you can use the curriculum is listening for free on LibriVox, because those are recordings done by volunteers to have an audio version of like free domain books. So,
and that's all I use. All I use is the audiobooks for Ambleside Online. If it's not on an audiobook form, we don't get to it, but we'll do the history and some of the literature as well.
Yeah, and so I'm using it for history always. I will probably never stop doing that because I can't really fathom doing something else at this point. But and I need to start year 1 with my third at some point. She won't start until next year technically.
50 famous stories.
I know. I started and she loves it. When I have more time, I will read more. That's also on LibriVox, is 50 famous stories retold. But I also have been using it for literature. So I mean, it has all different subjects on there, but the literature ones, the ones that it says to do, it's usually 2 or 3 books per year. We've been doing that. So were just finished The Legend of Sleepy Hollow in the car on the way here.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a short read. And it's good for Halloween.
Oh my gosh, you're right. I'm so going to put that on our to-listen list.
I'm going to be honest, it's a tough read. The whole thing sounds
hard to get through or scary?
No, it's not that scary, but it's only an hour and a half long, and the entire thing feels like a prologue. Like there's no dialogue in it.
We'll watch it and then have them watch the Disney version.
Yeah, so we'll listen to it and then watch the Disney, with it's a double feature with Mr. Toad or whatever.
We watched Mr. Toad last year with Ambleside Online.
with Wind in the Willows.
Yes.
Disney and Ambleside Online. Speaking of this, I mean, we were not planning on this, but speaking of this, the film unit studies curriculum that we have is kind of along these same lines. So it's available at kidslearningforlife.com/film. So we're kind of showing you what it looks like on the website right now. But we have basically created these very family-style unit studies based around different family-friendly movies. So these are probably all movies that you've seen or want to watch with your kids. So in each one of these film unit studies, we cover the 4 core subjects. So that's science, language arts, social studies, and math. What are the good thing you moved there, because I would not have been able to do that. And then we also have special lessons in the arts and movie magic. So we have 6 lessons in each of these, and they're all based around the movie. So how it works is you would choose a movie and then you would watch it, and then you could do all these lessons together. And like I said, it's family style, designed for K through 6th, but we do have modifications for younger and older.
Yeah.
And it's something we get asked about, and this is what we go to conventions and tell people about, and this is what we speak about a lot. But we did get a specific question from someone on Instagram. She was asking, what is the age range for our film unit studies? So It is designed for K through 6th, but like I said, you can do modifications for younger or older.
And those modifications are in the curriculum itself. So each lesson kind of has a basic lesson, and then at the end of the lesson, it'll tell you, hey, modifications for older, modifications for younger. And so you don't have to come up with those on your own, because I know sometimes like that, everybody knows they could come up with modifications, but trying to figure them out in your head on a fly is not always best.
Yeah, and something we do like to do with each of these is also have like extra suggestions. We call it bonus features, I think. Extra suggestions on like how you can dive deeper into the movie, and a lot of times it's a book. Like there's a Mary Poppins book. There's a technically like Snow White is a fairy tale. All these different things that you can kind of go deeper on in that subject. But anyway, I didn't really want to spend too much time plugging our thing because we're talking about curriculum. I just figured it was a good segue. Is there anything else any other curriculums that you've been asked about or that you want to share about?
Asked about?
I'm not using anything else, so I can't talk about anything
I'm
else.
using other stuff, but it's, like history. I also use the Tuttle Twins, America's History.
Oh, yeah.
We're just finishing that up from last year. We're already, we'll be done in a couple weeks. So we're actually going to be moving on to I asked the boys, do you want to do ancient history or Middle Ages? And they all wanted to do Middle Ages. And so now I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? I don't know.
Story of the World?
I could.
I think that's the
I could
second
do
book.
that. I've also been looking into History Unboxed and Beautiful Feet books because they have a lot of really
Are you ready
cool
to
books.
do read alouds?
No.
I guess
if
they
they're
have to
audiobook. If it's an audiobook, we'll read.
Not all of them
aloud.
are though.
On
Beautiful
where?
Feet.
Oh man.
That's the only thing that I looked
I'll
into
have
it
to
and I was
look.
like, I just don't have the time to do this. But
I think I did look at some of them are, but not all of them.
yeah, some of them are free domain. It reminds me of good Ambleside Online in a lot of ways,
Okay.
but some of the books are more contemporary.
Okay.
So I don't know if there is an audio version for some of the.
If anybody has good middle age history recommendations or activities or even other curriculum, I'm down. Let me know. But an etiquette factory.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
Not this past summer, but before we met. I don't remember her name.
Yeah, I don't remember her name.
Not off the
either.
top of my head. I'm sure she says it in her videos, but she has the company Etiquette Factory, and she gives etiquette lessons. This is all video based, and they're very quick little snippets. So last year I just did one video each morning. It's kind of how we started off our homeschool morning. This year I've just saved them for Friday, and we just do 3 videos on Friday because we didn't get through all of them last year. And they're just, we just did a lesson on how to be a good loser in board games or a good winner, and there was a whole section on the different types of plates and what each fork is used for. There's etiquette on, how to treat people. So little things that have just been fun to have to start conversations, basically. So they're just little quick 1 to 5 minute videos that you watch with your kiddos.
And they're really cute video. I think they're pretty well done.
Yeah, they're definitely cheesy in a way, but in a good cheesy.
The kids aren't gonna hate them.
Yeah.
They're kind of funny enough for kids. There's goofy.
So my boys are sad if there's ever because it's all basically the gal that runs it. She gives the lesson, and then it'll cut to the kids acting it out. The good, the bad, and my boys are actually bummed if there's no video of the kids afterwards. So there's a few of those, and they're like, "Oh wait, there's no video. I want to see them do it wrong," because they get such a kick out of watching these teenagers doing all these.
They're
things
so
wrong.
silly.
One was table manners, and so they they went into some sort of Denny's type restaurant or something. I don't think it was a Denny's, but they were spilling things and making a mess, and then then it cuts to this is how you should do it. I don't know. I get a kick out of it, and I think it's really fun. And I don't think I've ever talked about that before. But.
No, you haven't. And we met her. Our booths were across from each other.
Yeah.
Last year, so it was. I remember seeing her video on a loop, and we were there, and that was the big convention. That was the one in Southern California that we were at for 3 or 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
So we were there.
You were pregnant.
Yeah, well, I was 7 months pregnant or something like that. So it was just we were watching her video over and over again, but it was really cool, and she was very popular at that convention.
Yeah, she did a lot of talks, and it's something that I think everybody wants is a little bit of etiquette, and you don't really remember you know, it's nice to just have that list of things to talk about. And so you watch the little video, and then there's discussion questions if you want, or you can just open a conversation. And I'm actually excited she has one as well for like teens and dating. So, I mean, I don't need that yet, but I'm like, oh, okay, we'll be getting this and watching this one so you can see proper. I mean, it's already covering so many things that if they can do all of this in etiquette lessons we're doing now, if they can just master all of that, they'll be fine when they go to date. But, you know, there's other things that should probably be talked about, I guess.
Yeah, that's called Etiquette Factory. If anyone's interested, it's very cool. It's very niche. It's very specific, which I don't know. I just love cool ideas like that, especially like Stacey's always finding random stuff like that. It's like, oh, okay.
I can't simplify. I have to have it all for some
So
reason.
like just for some like behind the scenes stuff, like Stacey has to have like this in-depth outline for everything we do, which is fine. We all work differently. I just go more off the dome. And so she has this huge list on our screen up here of all these things she's using. And then at the end, it says, working on simplifying my schedule. It's like, okay.
And I've already cut stuff out from last year, Jenny. So
I know you have. I know. I'm actually very impressed.
So if you feel like you're doing a lot and you need to simplify with me, let me know. And
maybe Stacey can do some videos on that. Yeah, and that's something that we have to talk about. You know, like eventually, hopefully, we can get back to doing more regular videos. I know I should have more time sometime within the next 6 months, hopefully. So I do hope to make some videos because I know people want to hear about these things, like Good and the Beautiful and Ambleside Online. I mean, that's a big one. I'm like the Ambleside Online girl. Sometimes it feels like on YouTube. So we do want to get back to making videos, but for now we're going to do lives and just be on Instagram. You can always follow us at Kids Learning for Life on Instagram. We're also on Facebook.
And we love chatting with people. And if you have questions, feel free to ask them there. Again, we're not making as many videos right now. It's just not that season of life. But we love helping. Like, we're still getting comments on YouTube videos and we're still responding to those. So if you ever have a question on a certain video, feel free to ask it because we're actively answering those.
Yeah, so
not in like a super timely manner, but we get there.
Yeah, we batch answer. So that's comment on our YouTube videos because we do see those. We do actually see those. And then or you message us on Instagram. You can always check out our website. It's just kidslearningforlife.com. The best page on there is probably kidslearningforlife.com/film because that's where our film unit studies are, and that's where you can purchase them anytime, not just in person at a convention. And then you can also, I guess you can email us too, huh?
Oh,
you can email us at kidslearningforlife@gmail.com.
Those are fun ones, actually.
What?
Like email. I feel like it's the less used, but when people use it, they're like really
well, they've like sought us out.
Yeah.
They
have just like a quick
questions.
thing on Instagram, like, oh look, I like this, but it's like nice emails. So
I love emails. So I don't know. That's where you can find us. So if no one has any questions, I guess we'll kind of just start to wind down. Thanks for being here with us. We appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.